Good day, everyone. Welcome to the weekly note of GTC Traders. This is a feature we do each week, as you can tell if you click on the little category for the GTC weekly note. This is something that we do each week. If you are new, I am the senior partner of a separate private proprietary firm, and we decided, hey, how about we put our weekly note up? We're not by any means the only one that does a weekly note. This is something that's very common among many firms, weekly note or a daily note. And we thought, hey, how about we just make this real easy on ourselves? How about we just copy and paste sort of our weekly note from our private proprietary firm and put it over here on GTC Traders. So that is what we do. And the article itself has all of the vagaries usually of different thoughts as far as the economic calendar for that week and what we see in interest rates and various markets. If you're sort of curious about a weekly note, if you go to the GTC Traders YouTube page and you look at something like the playlists, so you click over at the playlists, come down here, go to the GTC weekly and daily note playlist, look at the full playlist. The first three, maybe even the first four videos really describe why so many firms do this. Okay, so why so many firms have a weekly and a daily note, really what is the value of a weekly and daily note, what it is and what it is not. So that's just for folks who are new. And then, as I will now, I usually yabber on about the vagaries of each week. I swear this is take 7 or something like that. It's ridiculous how many times I've started this thing and then ended it and started over. You know, it's funny. I remember being in my 20s and in my 30s and even in my 40s and hearing these older guys talk, right? And it's like, man, that guy rambles a lot. He just starts talking and he just doesn't stop. Well, now I am that guy in my 50s. And I've caught myself doing it a few times. And I know what it's from now. Being in my 50s, I know what it's from. It's because you've been doing something for 3 decades and you go to make one comment on it. And then that just blows up into you start unpacking everything you know about it and all the nuances and all the details of everything you've learned. And before you know it, you're in a 30-minute conversation of something that you had wrote down on your notes that you just wanted to make a very brief mention of because you started unpacking all of the nuances around it. Good day, everyone. Today is January 29th, 2024, the weekly note. It's funny, you know, I have a little scrap piece of paper and I'll write, okay, just a couple of things I want to mention for the weekly note, other than what you see at the website and the actual note itself, right? And it was just comment briefly, end of the week, end of the month, how the portfolios are doing, right? And it meant to be just something like, private prop's doing well. Print in black this month in private prop. In other words, if you're new, that means we're printing a positive number in the monthly grid of percentile performance for the month, right? And just print in black this month in the grid for the private prop. Just what we wanted to do. And that got unpacked somehow into a 15-minute conversation about 6-month views and how it's not discretionary. There is a quantifiable metric that's been pulled out for that and how that affected demand. It was like, wow, I looked down at my note. It was like, briefly comment briefly on how the portfolios are doing. So I'm going to try and do that. Private prop, print in black, doing what we wanted it to do. GTC sample portfolio. Again, here's another one where I started to ramble and the whole weekly note became 30 minutes. Meant to say, the GTC sample portfolio is also doing very well. You have to view the longer term holds as somewhat separate from the rest of the portfolio because it's running multi-strat, and longer term holds because of the periodicity is going to give you a little pull in the volatility, right? Why? Because it's longer term, right? And that I started unpacking into how that can even be mitigated even for longer term holds on that one single strat, but you have to subtract that out from the rest of the portfolio because it's longer term, and the rest of the portfolio is print in black, and it just devolved. I'm sure you guys, for a brief weekly note, don't want to be here for the next 40 minutes. on something that on this scrap piece of paper said, briefly comment that the portfolios are doing well. Oh my God. It's fun getting older, I got to tell you. Regardless, what is it this week? This week being January 29th, 2024 is, as you see here, right? FOMC. Sort of funny. New folks, love you. We need traders. There is a dearth of good trading talent. And don't ever want to say anything to discourage newer traders. Only want to encourage them. Trading is very, very difficult, and there is a dearth of talent in trading at higher levels. When like you are thinking like, hey, we might want to hire a trader, trying to find a good trader is very difficult. And so God love the new ones, and it's not an easy process. And remember the statistic. I'm going to say it again. A little bit of a side tangent, old guy 50s thing here. If you've ever heard that 95% of traders fail, I'm going to say it again, that's false. It's false, right? You got pensions, you got guys like me, you got others. I mean, there can be problems, night capital and those sort of things where you run into problems even as an experienced trader. But generally, veteran traders stay veteran traders, right? They've figured it out. So it's not 95% of all traders out there fail. It's not like if somebody's, God, I mean, think about it, right? Let's say a firm has a pension in their AUM, and they've got pension funds they're trading. Obviously it's not going to be for that great of alpha. Pensions aren't interested in that. But it's not like each month, the firm is sitting there saying, wow, we survived last month. Boy, it's only there's a 95% chance we might fail next week, next month, because 95% of all traders fail. No, the guys who are veterans know what they're doing. It's 95% of all new self-directed retail traders, and I think it's higher. I think it's 98% of all new self-directed retail traders who begin trading are dead flat and their account busted inside of 9 months. Okay, that's the statistic. So I say that to say, yes, it's a very difficult process. I want to keep new traders encouraged, right? I don't want to make it seem like I'm talking down to new traders. It's a very difficult process to go through, and God knows we need the talent. And as I said in that one video entry on social media gurus, right? What's nice now is there's so many people out there with Dunning-Kruger, right? They've been trading for a year, and then they want to teach you. It's like, you've been trading for a year? Dude, you don't even have like a full data set yet. Like of performance I can evaluate. Like, come back to me at 3 to 5 years. 3 years, 5 years is better. And even then, it's just like this is a thing where you got to develop a skill, right? I have more to say on that in the future. So all of those guys that have been trading for 9 months and then want to teach, right? Because if they got some indicator or something, they're getting shut out by guys like myself and others with verifiable resumes, audible track records that are presenting it in a professional way. So thank God for that, right? So those of us who are veterans need to shut those guys down more, because that's going to help new traders survive what is a very difficult process and a very difficult skill to learn. All right. So that being said, I have to laugh sometimes, because you go out in Fed week, right? And you read what these guys, again, who've been trading for a year and want to teach. Oh, I've pretty much figured out there's going to be a rate cut this week. I think there's going to be a rate cut, and I think we need to prepare for that. And then they'll spill out all their political ideas that have nothing to do with anything having to do with reality in the world of interest rates. And it's hilarious to me, right? And that can fool a lot of new people who are listening to them. It's like, hey, I'm just getting started. And it's like, this guy's saying he thinks there's going to be a rate cut. What do you think? And I was like, it's not a matter of what I think, right? Yes, it's Fed week. We got our eyes on that. It's not a matter of what I think. The market's already spoken, right? 30-day Fed fund futures. You don't even have to look at this tool. This is a probability tool built off of the 30-day Fed fund futures. But 30-day Fed fund futures has already pretty much told us there's not going to be a rate cut. And what's nice about this, if you want to use it, it's a CME FedWatch tool. Very simple to find. Gives you a little countdown. And then basically you can pick your meeting and look at your probabilities, right? A lot of people have been trading for many years. I'm not spilling some secret here, right? We all know about this. And obviously, the further out in time you go, you're going to see more of a normal distribution curve at some point. But when we switch it back to the January 31, I mean, it's like a 2.1% statistical outlier chance. And I tell you what, if that chance ever did come to pass, that's going to scream to everybody, oh my God, has the Fed truly lost their political independence? There's a lot of buzz about that right now. But, if that came to pass, that's what that would be screaming to everyone. Regardless, there's not going to be a rate cut. Any of you, the furu types out there, want to talk about how there's going to be a rate cut. I think there's going to be a rate cut. No, there's not. If you want to put money on it and take a gamble on it, the gamble is no, nothing's going to happen. And the market's already priced that, and there's no juice there. Okay? And as far as what I'm looking at, I'll tell you what I'm looking at. I've already mentioned it. All right? The SOFR used to be euro dollars, but now we have, oh boy, see, there's something else I could unpack. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole again. But now we have 3-month SOFR futures. This is not the March 2024. This is, and for the reasons that I mentioned, I think last week, the March 2025. This is the one I'm watching. So yes, it's going to be Fed week. As far as a tell, no, we don't have machine readers at Private Prop or anything to scan through the presser and the actual statement by the Fed in like 8 mics or something. But we obviously are expecting no rate cut, but that language, I say that to say that language is going to be heavily analyzed, and then there's the press conference. And from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, this is what I'm looking at to see what truly shakes out of the market and what the market's thinking. This thing sells off, it wouldn't surprise me. I'll put it that way. And again, no trades here. I'm just saying this is what I'm watching. Okay, we've been very range bound here. And this is sort of I think when it comes to interest rates, this is the battleground. 3-month SOFR futures, March 2025 around interest rates. All right. So that's been our thoughts. And look at that. Look at that. The 50-year-old guy that usually rambles got it done in under 11 minutes. It's 10 minutes, 34 seconds. I resisted the urge to ramble this time. So it looks like this is going to be the one you see. But everything within this particular entry and showing the new folks, Fed Watch tool, this is something you may want to put in your arsenal if you're new. It's what a lot of us watch, and it's built off of what we also watch, which is 30-day Fed Fund futures. And as far as what I'll be watching, it's the 3-month SOFR futures contract for March of 2025. Remember, if you're new, when it sells off, that means higher interest rates. When it rallies, that means cheaper interest rates, right? And that's what we're watching. And that has been the weekly note for this week. And our thoughts are only good until they're canceled, right? Just like trading, you got to be flexible. That's why we're GTC traders, and that has been what it's always been. It's simply been our thoughts, not yours, for whatever that date is. As always, stay safe, trade well, and remember that love doesn't cost a dime.